And I think we're live. Hello again, everyone. And yeah, we're about to start with the final presenter of the day. So I'll just introduce Bamini from the Green Leaf Teahouse. So as the founder of Green Leaf Teahouse, Bamini is located at the Gold Coast, Queensland, and it's a small family business specialising in a premium selection of artisan and traditional loose leaf teas from boutique tea plantations around the world. And I've tried a few of them and they are quite nice. So I hope everyone else gets a few and tries some of them as well. So Bamini is the Gold Coast Tea Ambassador for Oz TCS, which you heard about before from David. So everyone, please welcome Bamini.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm very excited. I wish I could see you, but I can at least see your smiling face, which is good. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. So I know when you think of tea, different things come to people's mind. Some people like call chamomile tea. Some people think of rooibos as tea. So it is called tea, but it's the rooibos and all the herbal teas, they're actually tea infusions, or you can call them tisanes. So tea actually comes from evergreen plant called Camellia sinensis. And so, when you think of black tea or green tea, they're all from the same plant. And what makes it different is how it's harvested and how it's processed. So before I went on my tea journey, I didn't know that green tea and black tea, that's how they were two different plants. So today it's a good, just a small introduction to the world of loose leaf teas. So I will not be talking about any blends. It's purely the 5 main varieties of tea. I hope, Rebecca, you can ask me questions in the middle. So I did share some teas that we are doing today with you. So I thought that'll be a good opportunity for you to share your feedback and your comments. Camellia sinensis, as I said, it's an evergreen plant. So before I go into the teas, I just want to give you a little bit of tea history. So there is, lots of stories and how and when tea was originated. So do you have any clue, Rebecca? Any guesses of where tea started? Unless David's already shared this with you with Ostex. I missed his talk, so any guesses?
I think he possibly did. I think it was, I don't know if he mentioned it, it possibly did, but I've had a few, doggy distractions around the background at the moment. But I assume it would be from either, probably Asia somewhere, but I don't know. Am I right?
Asia is a very safe bet. There are lots of countries there.
Yep.
Yes, so one of the ancient legends, the story goes that it was actually originated in Yunnan. So in the year 2737 BC, there was an emperor and a botanist named by the name of Shennong. He was on a trip out, and he was resting under this big tree, and his servants at that time were boiling water for him to drink, and a few of the leaves fell in his boiling pot of water, and Chinong was very intrigued by the fragrance, and he tried the water and he felt really energized, and so there he started on his journey to find out about this leaf and about the tree. And the tree that the leaves fell from was a Camellia sinensis wild tea tree. And then as he researched, he found that the leaves have got lots of medicinal properties. So for a long time, tea was used as medicine and also chewed as or eaten as a vegetable. So in the 6th century, when it started being consumed as tea, as a beverage. So there are lots of stories, but this is one of the ones that I was very excited about. And then, of course, tea's, got a very fascinating history as well. And I think we need a whole new workshop about that. But I'll go on to the main teas. So the 5 different varieties that we will be sampling and talking about today starts from white tea, black, oolong, pu'er, and which one have I missed? And white?
Green tea.
There we go, green tea, the most popular one nowadays. So what makes the tea is different is, as I said earlier, it's how it's harvested. So we're just going to start with the white tea. So I don't know if you can see there. So the leaves are very, very, they're big, they're dry. And the reason for this is that white tea is the most minimally processed tea. So it's picked very early in spring, and it's hand-picked. And just much like, apple, like when you cut the apple, it oxidizes. So if you bruise the tea leaves, the oxidization starts. So you have to be very careful picking the leaves. So it's bud and leaves, so very early in spring. And then it's just sun-dried, or it's dried under controlled temperature, and that's it. But the flavors are very mellow, they are floral, and it's, it's, and I'll just show you, I brewed it earlier. So this is the color. So being white tea, you add, so when you think of white tea, it's not tea with milk. It is actually a type of tea. So you don't need to mix milk or sugar. I would say definitely don't mix anything with it, because it's just lovely as it is. It's really, really mellow. So did you get a chance to try it, Becca?
I did, and I quite liked it. Yeah, I definitely got the hints, slightly floral notes. I know that there's different kinds of flowers, but I'm not really experienced enough at drinking tea to pick out which different kinds of flowers, but I definitely got a hint of
You don't have to get tea geeky, that's fine. So long as you try it.
Yeah, and I guess because it was my first time trying white tea, and I'd always assumed it would be similar to green tea, which in the past I hadn't liked because I found it fishy, although that's probably because I was brewing it wrong. But yeah, it wasn't fishy at all. It was just, I felt like there was also a slightly, grassy or sort of hay flavour, but it was quite nice. It was, it was quite relaxing, and it was a subtle flavour, so you could drink it and not feel like it was too sickly sweet or overpowering or anything. So yeah, I quite liked it.
Oh, that's good. And the good thing about tea is that, there's so many different varieties. So even white tea, so white tea is most popular in China, but nowadays in India and Sri Lanka and other countries, they are also producing white tea. So depending on the soil, the temperature, and the weather, the tea flavor, the same leaf, the same cultivar of the tea can taste different. So white tea from India would be different to white tea from China and white tea from any other part of the world. And that's what's most fascinating. It's the same plant, even if you pick it at the same time, because, if tea is grown at sea level compared to tea grown in the mountains, there's a big difference. So, and this is pure leaf tea. There's nothing mixed in it. And it's just absolutely fascinating. So I didn't think I can ever reach a time where I've tried it all, because there's so many different tea estates, even amongst different tea plantations in the same area. The flavor can be different of the pure leaf tea, So once I started with pure leaf tea, I'm just absolutely hooked. There's so much to learn. So this is just a little bit about the white tea. So it's the most minimally processed tea. It is only harvested once a year, so in early spring. So that's a little bit about the white tea. And then I thought we'd move on to the next one. So please feel free to ask me questions. I can answer it while I'm talking or at the end. So don't hold back there. And then we move on to the green tea. And I think there's a real buzz for green tea in the Western world for the health properties, and everybody wants to get into it. And I feel a lot of people, because I interact with a lot of customers, and I think a lot of people are drinking green tea because they think it's good for them, but they're not really enjoying the flavor. And that's because green tea, it's very important to brew green tea at the right temperature. And so your brewing temperature and your brewing time has a lot to do with tea. So like with white tea, some people brew it at 85 degrees, some people brew it at 90. I like mine at 90. So it's all up to your personal preference, but green tea is more sensitive. So with green tea, compare the difference between white tea and green tea is green tea, when it's picked, it is withered. And then in China, it is pan-fired to to stop the oxidization. And in Japan, it's steamed. So it's not oxidized. So we need to control the oxidization to get so in the Chinese green teas are more nutty. They are floral, maybe sometimes a little bit buttery as well, but they're more on the floral grassy side. And the green teas from Japan, because they are steamed, they've got more of the marine flavors. So, your seaweedy, that kind of flavor, but it also has like savory plus a bit of sweetness in it too. And it's got nothing mixed in it. It's just the pure flavor of the leaf. So with the green tea, you have to control the temperature, as I said. So I would say anywhere between 70 to 80 degrees would be perfect for green. So the one I brewed today was a Longjing. So it's a Chinese green tea. And it is very nutty. It's got more of it like a chestnutty flavor. And I brewed it for 3 minutes. So once again, talking about the brewing temperature without confusing you all, Chinese teas, I would say about 3 minutes, but most of the Japanese teas, I would brew it for about between 30 seconds to a minute, nothing more than that. Because if you brew it too long, then all the tannins come out and it gets really bitter. And that's when, you feel like you're drinking medicine, not really enjoying the flavor of the tea. So unless you have one of those, fancy kettles that has got the temperature control, an easy way to lower the temperature is, you boil your kettle and then you warm up your teapot and then transfer the water from the teapot to the cup or from the cup to the teapot. So every time you transfer water from one vessel to the next, it drops by about 5 to 8 degrees. So it's an easy way to lower the temperature of green tea. And then once again, I would always suggest brewing tea without the infuser if you can, because you give tea space to expand. But otherwise, I've got, if you get a deep infuser, so it can go right in and it's got enough space for the tea leaves to expand. So it can extract all the flavors. So that's one of an easy way to brew green tea. And once again, I think when people think of tea, they think of milk and sugar. So with green tea, you don't need milk or sugar. But once again, it's your preference. If you want to, have some additions to it, it's totally up to you. But loose leaf, single estate teas, I would say just enjoy the flavor as it is. So I know, Rebecca, you enjoy blended tea. So I really wanted to know what you thought of green tea.
So I did actually, as I've mentioned before, I had tried green tea in the past, but I think I was probably either brewing it for too long or brewing it at a too high temperature, because I always ended up with that really bitter seaweedy taste, which I didn't like. And I just thought, oh, I guess I just don't like green tea. But so this time I actually went to Officeworks and bought a little coffee thermometer so that I could make sure I was brewing it at the right temperature. There's only about $6, so if anyone else wants to go one, they're pretty cheap at Officeworks. And so I made sure I brewed it at, I think it was the 75 or 85 degrees, whatever it said on the packet. And for about 3 minutes. And it was so much nicer than the other green teas I've tried. It definitely had a bit of I could definitely get that sort of slight nutty flavour, sort of like a chestnutty, warm chestnutty flavour. But there was also that sort of slightly grassy vegetable taste as well. So, and I didn't get any nasty seaweed fishy flavour. So it was quite nice. And again, it was a subtle flavour as well. So not, too strong in terms of flavour.
And the good thing teas is that you can have multiple infusions. So if you have good quality tea, so a tablespoon of, let's say, Longjing, you can brew up to 3 times. And every time you brew it, the flavor just improves it because it's extracting more flavor from the so in terms of value, a lot of people say to me, oh, loose leaf teas are so expensive. It's not if you think about how much value you get out of 1 tablespoon. And if you don't have time for multiple, you can always, so let's say if you've just brewed, if you've just brewed some tea and you've got tea leaves left, but you don't have enough time to have another cuppa, I would suggest just put fill up your teapot or teacup with the leaves and some tap water and put it in the fridge. So when you come back, you can enjoy it as iced tea. So teas, like never, the loose leaf teas are never wasted. And when you've had enough teas, enough cups of teas, you can always put it in the garden, and it's wonderful for the plants as well. So think about buying a good quality packet of tea, whichever tea it is. It does work out to be more economical if you see how many cups of teas you can get out of 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon. But I think the most important thing is your brewing time, your temperature, and then your own preference. Some people like the bitterness, so they can experiment. So always follow what the instructions are given at the back of the packet, and play around. There's no right or wrong. It's what you like, what you prefer. I think so long as you're not too strict with yourself, you can actually enjoy the process of making tea. So I am conscious of the time, so I'm going to keep hopping on. So after green tea, fascinating tea is the oolong tea. Very many people have heard of. So with the oolong tea, it goes through a few processes. So once again, it's picked, it's withered. So with the oolong, it has very amount of oxidization. So it can vary from anywhere from 10% to 80% of oxidization, or 90% of 80% of oxidization, I would say. So the lighter oolongs are more towards your green tea flavor, and then you've got a darker oolong more towards the black tea flavors, but they've got their own buttery, lovely flavor there. So they look like, so if you can see, they look like little pellets. And when you put it in hot water, the leaf expands. So I would always recommend brewing it in a teapot without an infuser. So it becomes this big. So from that pellet to this big. And with the oolong as well, you can get multiple infusions. So oolong is, in terms of tea category, it's in between a black tea and a green tea. So even with the oxidization, so what we sample, or what Rebecca, you and I have sampled, is it's lightly oxidized. So it's more towards the green tea flavors. But I'll let you share what you thought of the tea before.
I actually did think it tasted quite similar to the green tea. It had a similar sort of nutty and vegetable taste, but I also got a little bit more of a floral hint from it than what I got from the green tea. But yeah, I enjoyed it as well. It was nice and relaxing tea.
Yeah, so the one we tried was the Dongding Oolong, and it's very popular, and it's known for its multiple infusions. So you can just sit there with the pot and keep putting hot water. It doesn't matter with the temperature. It's very forgiving that way, so you can't get it wrong. You won't find any bitter notes in the oolong tea, and there are hundreds and thousands of oolong teas. So as I was saying about green tea, about white tea, the different countries have started producing oolong. So I am from India, and I know India is also producing oolong teas there. So you have oolong teas in China, in Taiwan, of course, and then in India, and Japan has got some oolong teas as well. So the taste is of the temperature, because of how even the way the tea manufacturer or the tea planter treats the leaves makes a big difference in the flavor. So, and these are all pure leaf tea, so there's nothing mixed in it. Depending on where the tea is grown, what kind of trees are around, or if they are, fruit trees or flowers, that all influence the flavor of the leaves. And so when you get the end product, you can taste all these different flavors, and you think, where is it coming from? It's because of the environment in which the tea plant is grown. So it's absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to quickly keep jumping on, because I am conscious of the time. So after the oolong tea, it's of course the black tea that we all know about and love so much. So black tea, once again, so black tea is fully oxidized. So it's picked, it's withered, and it's on purpose, it's oxidized. So it's fully oxidized tea, depending on where it's grown. So for example, from India, your English breakfast Earl Grey, it comes comes from Assam. So Assam black tea, even a single estate Assam black tea compared to a Darjeeling black tea, which is once again in India, but different part of India. There's a big difference because Assam tea is grown in sea level and Darjeeling tea is grown foothills of the Himalayas. So the flavor profile is really different. And unlike like your English breakfast or Irish breakfast, which is more of a commodity tea. So what I mean by that is the tea managed to keep the flavor consistent. So they mix, they try to maintain the same flavor. With the Darjeeling, with every harvest, because it's a single estate tea, every harvest, the flavor is slightly different. And so from your first harvest to second to third, the flavors are very different. So what we sampled today was the second harvest of Darjeeling tea. So you can feel, you can taste the muscatel flavors, which is usually associated with grapes. You get that in Darjeeling tea. So it's, so a quick story about Darjeeling tea is it's Chinese plants, variety of Camellia sinensis grown on Indian soil. That this flavor you can't replicate anywhere else. So it's a very, they call it the champagne of teas. So it's very exciting. I am conscious of the time, so I'm just going to hop on to the last one. So the last one is called a pu'er tea, so which is fascinating. So it comes in little bricks like this, and it's a fermented tea. So the one we tried is fermented for 14 years. So it looks like that. And so when you put it in boiling water, the little cake dissolves, and it looks like this. So when you look at the color, you think it's going to be a really, really strong tea, but it's not. And because it's a very, very different tea, I'd love to know, Rebecca, what you thought of it.
So yeah, it was probably the one I was most interested in trying because I've heard a lot of people say that pu'er is quite strong, so I was a bit scared of it, and so I went into it thinking, oh, this is going to be probably too overpowering, but it wasn't overpowering, but it was just different to other teas I'd tried. In addition to having a slight grassy flavour, I felt like it also had a bit of an earthy taste to it, and yeah, I tried drinking it both straight and with milk, like with a little bit of almond milk. And for me personally, I liked it with the almond milk better, just because I did find it a little bit strong drinking it straight. But yeah, I think for me to drink it in the future, I would probably just brew it with half a little pellet. And I think that would probably suit my taste. Again, this is likely because I'm fairly new to drinking tea, and I've mostly drunk the sort of flavoured ones from T2 and the like, so I'm used to, I guess, peasant tea, like flavoured, sweet teas. So
I think that's why I was so excited that you were trying the teas, because I didn't want to speak to somebody who knew it all, and because it would be no fun, right? So I wanted to see what you thought and your feedback was. And so my whole purpose is to be able to educate people about tea, or just to create awareness. And everybody's got their own flavors and own tastes, and that's totally fine. But I think so long as we are aware that there's more to green tea than just one green tea, or there's more to tea than just English breakfast, then my job is done. So I'm really, really happy and excited that you were able to sample some teas. So I know I've babbled on too long, and I haven't quite covered everything. So I'm sure we'll have another chance to talk about teas. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
All right, thank you so much, Bahmini and Rebecca, for the presentation. We'll like to do Q&A right now. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to put it on chat or the Q&A section. I do have a question while we wait and see if anyone has a question to Bahmini. Out of all the teas, which one's your favorite and why?
That's a very hard question. And I'm going to give you a very silly answer. It just depends on my mood. So, every day it's something different. So today, when I was talking to you and Kelsey, I was really enjoying the Longjing. So, but usually I start my morning with the matcha religiously every morning. On what the day brings. So today it's Longjing, and I've just moved to Pua. So no favorites. I'm always open to trying different teas. I like to stick with pure leaf teas. I don't like blended teas as much, but there's plenty to explore. So
Yep.
How about you? What's something today? What is your favorite tea?
Oh, today. Well, today I, as everyone would know, running an online event could be quite stressful. So I just went to my normal, black teas, and drinking something that I know that will satisfy my craving. I try to spend more time with teas, and appreciate them when I drink them. So if it's just on a rush, normally a black tea, but if not, I love oolongs and white teas as well. So
I love them.
yeah.
And so Rebecca, I had a question for you. So out of all the 5 teas, which one did you like the best?
I think the Darjeeling was my favourite, because I drink a lot of black teas, but it was definitely more subtle, and there was definitely that fruity floral flavour. Because mostly the other black teas I've had are just your supermarket black teas, or as I said, flavoured ones. But I can see why they call it the champagne of the black teas. Sorry, we just had a question in the chat from Carrie. Just asking how long does it take for the code, the promotional code, to work when buying online? So maybe
yes,
it doesn't work on some sites.
I'm hoping you're referring to the promotion code Tea Souq 21. That should be on the like, for example, Green Leaf Teahouse website for at least till tomorrow. If my understanding is correct. Yep. So the event is today and tomorrow. So hopefully by tomorrow before midnight, if you want to purchase some beautiful teas from the Green Leaf Teahouse, please go.
Yeah, and if you have any problems or any questions, you can always message me. If you have any problems accessing it online, that's no problem. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help with any questions even after the workshop. If you send me a question, I'm more than happy to help you.
Yeah. You can contact Bahmini outside the Hopin environment via Instagram or Facebook, or just go directly to her website and get the email. So well, that's there isn't any more questions that I could see on chat, so we'll try and wrap this up. Thank you so much, Bahmini, from Green Leaf Teahouse. Sorry. And thank you for presenting such a lovely workshop from the Gold Coast. That's where you're at. I imagine that's what the Gold Coast houses at the Gold Coast looks like. Such beautiful environment, and having birds singing in the background.
It is an absolutely beautiful day today. It was predicted to be a really hot one, but I think the stars have aligned and it's beautiful and actually windy now. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and thank you, Rebecca, as well, for co-hosting this presentation with Bahmini, and I hope you enjoyed the teas as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thanks.
Oh wait,
we've got one last question. Which tea is the most energizing? I suppose that would depend on individual taste.
It just totally depends on you. So I always, when people look for health benefits and quick fixes, there are no quick fixes, because everybody's body is different, and different times your body reacts differently to tea. So sometimes, black tea does it for me, but mostly it's green tea. So it's totally up to you. You'll definitely be energized no matter what tea you have. That's my simple answer.
Well, thank you again. So we're